Hello to the good people of the earth. We've got a new game going. Apparently we have the Spanish opening. And even though the opponent is not extremely high rated, 21-18, I do expect some good level chess, because I remember playing, maybe not against this guy, but perhaps it was this guy, I don't know, maybe I played him in the past, it was not easy to beat him. So black played this move order. Now, I only know one thing, that this move order should be wrong for black, because he should play the move bishop e7 on move number 5, and I'm always not sure what is the exact reason that this move order is considered to be wrong. The obvious move would be the pawn to d4, trying to break in the center. Also the move a4 comes to mind. Let's try d4. I'm really not sure. I probably should check this out after the game. It's important stuff. But the move d4 feels good. Now if black takes the pawn, I can always play a move like e5 in the center. Yeah, he played d6. Now I can just take on e5, but I'm not completely sure where this is leading. Very curious what exactly should be the punishment for this opening play, but let's play normally with c3. The pawn on e4 is not really hanging, because I always have this bishop d5 stuff, so I'm not too worried about this. Now if I play the move rook e1, we're just making a transposition into a normal position from the Rui Lopez. And if I want to be kind of clever, maybe I can do the move knight d2 here, but then it still has bishop g4. Okay, I don't know, let's try to be clever. Knight d2. So basically we have a very standard position, but I might claim that I have saved one tempo with white, because I didn't play neither the move h3 and not the move rook e1. But now I don't see how can I avoid the move rook e1 really, because one of the main plans for white here is to kind of reroute this knight into a better square. Yeah, so black is just playing very standard stuff, but I still believe that this extra tempo that I have should count to something. I'm not too sure at this point what exactly this counts, but yeah, I managed to save the move h3, which is of course a useful move for white, undoubtedly, because it controls the g4 square, but perhaps I can do without it. So what is my plan basically? So I can consider two things here. He played this move bishop g4, so he might threaten to take on f3, which is in itself a question whether it's really a threat. But let's assume it is a threat. What can I do about it? I think bishop e3 comes to mind, reinforcing the pawn on d4, and then perhaps I want to play the move h3. This makes sense to me. I might also just allow the move bishop takes f3 and just to take with the g pawn, perhaps trying to play with my big pawn center. But I must say the move bishop e3 seems to be solid enough. Let's just try to make sure we are not blundering anything, but yeah, this looks solid. Once again, the pawn on e4 is indirectly protected because I always have those bishop d5 tactics. If, for example, at this point black is taking the pawn on d4, opening up his rook, and then he taking on e4, I will have knight take e4 and bishop d5 forking this knight and whatever piece would be on e4 at the end. So this is not really worrying me. Yeah, he took. So from strategic point of view, the move e takes d4 is quite dubious for black because he's now surrendering the control of the center. But black is perhaps hoping that it would work for him tactically. But this was my point earlier. Now if knight takes e4, I take it, followed by bishop d5, and I should win at least an exchange, perhaps more. So I don't think that black would go for this, but apparently he did. Okay. Yeah, so now I have the obvious move would be bishop d5. I can also start with queen c2. I'm not really sure what's the difference between those two moves. Let's go with the more obvious one, bishop d5. Yeah, basically this was my main tactical point with this whole variation. That's why I think actually black did kind of wrong going for this. Yeah, he took on e3, he decided to sack the exchange. Perhaps he just had no other options. But I don't think it's that much, it's not really solving all his problems, because this knight on c6 still have some issues. So let's play accurately here. The obvious move would be to take with the pawn to bolster the control over the center. But I think the move rook takes e3 is actually more accurate, because now in some variations I still control the e8 square. So for example, he cannot protect his knight with this kind of move because the rook protects this square. Now I must admit I really don't see how exactly black will protect this knight on c6 in the long run, and he decides to give up yet another exchange. Well, I shall take it. Yeah, so from material point of view, white is just winning here, having two exchanges up, or should I say two rooks for two minor pieces, plus black has one pawn. But yeah, this shouldn't be nearly enough for black to justify it. Now let's play h3, just kind of asking the bishop what it's going to do. I think it's an healthy idea to have this kind of king left square on h2. So now what I really like to do is step out of this spin. So a move like queen e2 or queen e1 definitely comes to mind, with the idea to attack the knight on e7 while creating some ideas of rook e8 in case that he moves the knight. I think I'll go for it. So queen e1. Now this is a big threat, so black has to react to this. If he moves the knight, then rook e8 is quite unpleasant, I believe. But if he does protect the knight, which is actually not a very easy task, so the only move I can imagine is queen d8. It's also quite sad for black because it's quite a passive move to make. So I think, yeah, black is in a bit of troubles here. Yeah, until now my opponent played relatively fast. And now, when he is in big troubles, he starts to think. So, it's quite typical for a lot of chess players to be very reckless in the first part of the game and then kind of start to think things after the position is already quite bad. It's quite silly when you think about it, but a lot of people do it. So yeah, queen to b7. Now let's think where could black have potential counterplay. Probably something related to the move knight to f4, trying to perhaps create some problems for me on the king side. The move queen e4 is tempting, but then his bishop g6, driving my queen away. I still like it. Let's centralize the queen. Also kind of pinning his knight, so now it doesn't really have so many options to move. Whoa, pawn to f6. Oh, he just wants to attack my rook. Yeah, okay. Don't know why, but this move didn't even came to my mind. It's actually not that stupid. Yeah, probably I will just move the rook. I don't see like a lot of problems with doing so. So yeah, let's do rook d8. The move f6 is quite a weakening move, so now the white king is a bit more exposed on this diagonal. So in some positions I will have the possibility to check here. But f5, what's this? What if I just take the pawn? Yeah, I'm not really sure about the point of this move. I will just take it. Now I have multiple threats here. So probably the move knight to f6 is the only move to cover all of them. But yeah, he decided to resign. Probably a justified decision. I believe he played quite badly. Like the tactics, he seemed to like not calculate the tactics too much through. So yeah, I think this position is quite critical. He decided to take the pawn, but yeah, I believe even without it, white should be a bit better. Yeah, but computer says the position is about equal after the move d5. That's something I will have to check. And his move order is wrong because of d4, so I actually played correct. And here simply to take on e5, and white is a bit better, really. Well, in my head I just saw this position and just assumed it's kind of equalish looking, so I'm not really sure if the computer is right here. So anyway, this is for me to check, so I hope you enjoyed the game. So a bit of tactics, a bit of strategy, basically everything you need, and hope to see you next time. Bye bye.